Bom dia, pessoal, tudo bem? Como é que vocês estão? Espero que estejam todos bem. Estamos aqui na nossa continuação, né, das nossas oficinas. Essa aqui é a segunda oficina e a gente conclui também hoje. Ela vem em continuidade à oficina da semana passada, no mesmo bate-horário, no mesmo bate-canal. A gente estava aqui na sexta anterior e fizemos as construções, desenvolvemos juntos as construções de resposta dissertativas, de exames anteriores que foram propostos para o ENAD de Letras Inglês. Naquela ocasião, deixa eu colocar um pouquinho mais de luz aqui para gente. Melhorou, né? Naquela ocasião, nós conversamos que quando a questão ela for proposta em língua portuguesa, a gente conversa aqui em português. Quando a questão estiver em língua inglesa, a gente conversa aqui em língua inglesa também. Então, a gente vai acompanhando a tendência da resposta, a tendência da prova em si, tá bem? Então, começamos a respeito disso. Na semana passada, nós lidamos com as questões dissertativas, trabalhamos com bastante atenção em duas delas, desenvolvemos o conteúdo que elas propõem, as características do enunciado de cada uma. E trabalhamos também com o início da terceira, discutimos o início da terceira questão, e eu combinei com vocês que eu iria trazer a solução dela na data de hoje. Então, a gente vai acompanhar essa terceira questão só para fazer a continuidade dela, a conclusão dela, na verdade, e depois nós vamos trabalhar um pouquinho com as questões de múltipla escolha, de resposta direta, que são questões, é uma tipologia de múltipla escolha, que nós temos um texto de partida para trazer o nosso pensamento, a nossa reflexão a respeito de algum tema, né? Algum tema de língua, literatura ou ensino de língua e literatura de pensamento ou do mundo anglo-saxão, né, de língua inglesa. Então, algum texto a esse respeito, e na sequência a gente tem 5 alternativas e somente uma é a correta. Então, por isso que a gente chama de tipologia de múltipla escolha de resposta única. E existe uma multiplicidade de formatos de questão de múltipla escolha, e o privilegiado para este ano será até as nossas formações e o encaminhamento dos editais, a gente sabe que as oficinas, desculpem, que as questões de resposta única serão privilegiadas, tá bem? Então, vamos lá, vou só passar aqui o caminho que a gente já fez na semana passada. A primeira pergunta tinha sido sobre a Jane Austen e a relação de ensino de literatura inglesa com um ensino interdisciplinar, partindo de motivação do cinema. Essa foi a primeira, era uma questão em língua portuguesa, falando de ensino de literatura inglesa. A segunda, a primeira, trazia o contato com a língua inglesa, as expectativas que a gente tem de ensino de língua inglesa e de aprendizagem de língua inglesa na escola regular. E depois é uma música falando sobre uma jogada de palavras muito inventiva, estarrecer, estar e ser em inglês, falando do to be, né? E aí, para associar esse movimento de ensino, quando a gente só se sente aquela imagem de só fiquei no verbo to be, não avancei em outros conteúdos, então, como lidar com essa, qual é a crítica evidenciada em termos de prática de ensino, e também como lidar com isso, então, qual é a proposta de solução para essa questão, e a gente falou não só o texto trazia, o enunciado trazia a respeito dos gêneros, como a gente falou a respeito também, né? E aí chegamos na terceira, this third exercise, this third question was a question in English. We read the full text. This is text number 1, talking about COVID, the virus that accelerated changes in the educational system, and 9 reasons to offer online classes. Then we had a second text talking about COVID as well, but the effects to different families in different areas, not only to education, but also in nutrition, childcare problems, other problems at work for the families that happened during the pandemic, okay? The questions were, and I always mentioned to you last week that one of the strategies that we can use for reading a text in English is read the questions before, then we go to the questions, we go to the text, and we go with a more focused point of view when we are going to answer the questions, okay? Both the questions here, and we know the questions at the exam, they are worth 10 points. So if you have 2 parts here, that means that we have 5 points each. They also mention that in the questions themselves, okay? So write a text in English, considering the texts above. In your text, discuss 2 of the 9 reasons to offer online classes, considering the Brazilian educational system and the changes brought by the pandemic, and also suggest one way in which public policies could address poor children's access to e-learning, to educational systems, to learning in one remote environment, e-learning. Let's have a quick reading, because this was taken last week. Let's have some fast reading about the texts themselves, okay? Just to refresh your memories. Oh, I'm sorry, not yet. The virus that accelerated changes in the educational system. The spread of COVID-19 has led to the closure of educational institutions all over the world. Such closure accelerated the development of online learning environments within those institutions so that learning would not be disrupted. We have lived that, we do remember. The coronavirus pandemic has tested the readiness of centers to deal with a crisis that requires online and remote measures. Many were not prepared, but it is important to review the reasons for offering students online classes which go beyond periods of confinement, So the text here already prompts to us the information that even that we are no longer in a pandemic, thank Lord, even that we don't live that situation anymore, that does not mean that we cannot use the information and the strategies and the didactic development taken during the remote classes, during the remote period nowadays. So we still have reasons to offer online classes, and those are 9 according to this text, okay? Offer highly effective learning environments, offer complementary interactive reinforcements that allow students to study 24/7 and work at their own pace, offer flexible scheduling, are available in any location through an internet connection, and students can attend using their devices, examples, computers, tablets, and etc. Better use of instructor time, example, no time-consuming trips to companies, for example. Facilitate direct teacher feedback, allow real-time student monitoring and corresponding reports, allow franchises to share schedules and classes online to increase the class attendance, and improve the image of your center by offering technological solutions that solve real problems. In the sequence, we have oh my God, the text number 2. The 2019-2020 coronavirus pandemic has affected educational systems worldwide, leading to the near total closure of schools, universities, and colleges. By the middle of April 2020, approximately 1,723,000,000 learners have been affected due to school closures in response to the pandemic. According to UNESCO monitoring, 191 countries have implemented nationwide closures, and 5 have implemented local closures, impacting about 98.4% of the world's student population. School closures impact not only students, teachers, and families, but have far-reaching economic and societal consequences. School closures in response to COVID-19 have shed light on various social and economic issues, including student debt, digital learning, food insecurity, and homelessness, as well as access to childcare, healthcare, housing, internet, and disability services. The impact was more severe for disadvantaged children and their families, causing interrupted learning, compromised nutrition, childcare problems, and consequent economic costs to families who could not work. In response to school closures, universities recommended the use of distance learning programs and open educational applications and platforms that schools and teachers can use to reach learners remotely and limit the disruption of education. Okay. As we have read, we have 2 parts here. We have to write a text in English, and in these texts, we have a part A and part B. In such text, we have to discuss 2 of the 9 reasons to offer online classes, according to the text that was previously read, text number 1, but considering Brazil's situation, and suggest one way for public policies to address poor children's access to remote learning. All right. My selection, many options are all right. The only importance you have to take is to justify your answers. My selection here, okay, was number 2, offer complementary interactive reinforcements that allow students to study 24/7, 24 hours, 7 days a week, and work at their own pace. And also number 6, to facilitate direct teacher feedback. Okay, I'll stop sharing this screen so that I will use our document, okay, for us to write together. Sharing here, our document. It's loading. Here it is. Okay, so you see here we have the answers from last week. There is still written down here. We are just following the document and including today's answers, okay? Here it is. So read out today, October the 18th. Oh my goodness. 2024. Okay. Written question number 3, which was our order. Okay, I'm sorry, people. You know how the weather is like. Oh my goodness. There it is. Better. So write a text considering the reasons to offer online classes. And I selected 2. One of those, I took my notes here so that I could answer to you guys I could organize better our answers. And then I put learning 24/7, 24 hours, 7 days a week. And this was one way to bring a continuous learning. Okay, this was one of my reasons. And the other was direct teacher feedback. So I just write down the keywords because then I do not remember what I'm going to write about, okay? And then we develop our answer according to our idea. So we organize what we have in mind, and then we put that into the format of a text, okay? So online lessons and activities had been intensely promoted during the pandemic, and we can see nowadays that many or part or effects in general, that positive effects from such practice can still be used and promoted nowadays. So I just give an initial starter for the paragraph, okay? Just because I repeated the verb can and I want to show to my evaluator that I have a full development of the English language, I'm going to change it here, okay? Online lessons and activities had been intensely promoted during the pandemic, and we may see nowadays that positive effects from such practice can still be used and promoted nowadays. Such is the case. I used such, so I use now this. This is the case when one observes, beautiful pronoun, isn't it? When one observes the possibilities of having learning 24 hours, 7 days a week. So I bring one of the items from the exercise. From one of the reasons. This is the case when one observes the possibilities of having learning 24 hours, 7 days a week. This reason, just to use the word from the question and from the text to show that you are interacting and you are replying to the exact proposal of the question. This reason is important nowadays because it may bring contextualized context, and then you explain, because the student may be able to look for the context of the content they are learning, they are studying. Okay. This reason is important nowadays because it may bring a contextualized context for the content. It also enables the access to digital literacy. Okay, we don't need to explain because we already know what digital literacy is, the contact to having remote and technological activities and learning how to use them. Also enables the access to digital literacy and develops digital skills according to students, in the plural, to students' possibilities of time and space, no matter where, okay? Also, in addition, having online lessons, having online activities, may promote direct teacher feedback. So we are including the second part of the second reason. In addition, having online activities may promote direct teacher feedback, which may improve, as you know, my baby is passing by, you can listen to the baby, which may improve students' learning, which may promote students' learning, and also having direct correction, direct and personalized correction from the teacher, which in turn promotes, enables, brings, develops. I will put brings again, brings development, brings language development, and interaction, which promotes language learning, okay? Interaction is important for us because English language learning, actually, language learning is oral and written, production and comprehension. It's interaction all the time. Then the last sentence, it also enables the access to digital literacy and develops digital skills according to students' possibilities of time and space. In addition, having online activities may promote direct teacher feedback, which may improve students' learning, and also having direct and personalized corrections from the teacher, which in turn bring, because I put corrections now, bring language development and interaction in the English language. There you go. We know from the very beginning of the exercise that we should write a text with the answer. So we are not going to put part A and part B. We are going to put that together. If we are going to develop a text, we need to include cohesive elements from one paragraph to the other. So we need to connect ideas, link ideas together so that one part directs my reader to the second part, okay? So we stop here talking about the reasons to keep offering online activities and online lessons. The second part was talking about public policies, and then we have to talk about the access, okay, the usage to have e-learning activities. They promote to kids and their families, learning process and also digital literacy as we used here. We have to talk about public policies being able to do that. So we have to give this link here in the question, all right. Nevertheless, beautiful, isn't it? Nevertheless, one knows that having access to, or maybe that accessing, you know that English is a very straightforward language, so we try to put it beautifully, but in a formal and direct way. Nevertheless, one knows that accessing online activities and lessons may not be possible to families, to disadvantaged families. Disadvantaged families. In such case, families, oh, it's all right, it's the space. In such case, public policies need to be developed in order to address this situation and help improve those families' possibilities to digital learning in the 21st century. So we are already talking about the importance of the content and digital skills in the 21st century, okay? As we have the link to the previous paragraph. And help improve those families' possibilities to digital learning in the 21st century. Okay. Public policies need to be developed. How and what could they do? Okay. Public policies then could promote, or maybe before that they could map, could, not code, typing, could map the access and usage of, or maybe by usage, by poor children to e-learning and promote centers. So we already explained how this could be done, what we want to reach, and how in that sense, okay? Public policies then could map the access, map the usage taken by poor children to e-learning, and then promote centers dedicated to that, okay? Directed to that, in which courses are offered to both families and the children. So we also promote a digital environment and digital skills to the full family, because we understand that if the child is poor, there is a surrounding context around him or her, yeah? In which courses are offered to both families and their children, okay? Preferably, such centers, those centers could be organized, in the schools, where the kids already study, or mostly, at most, or nearby, so that this public could come, learn and have access, to digital skills, content, and let me see if there is anything for us to close the answer at the end. Let me read the full paragraph. Nevertheless, one knows that accessing online activities and lessons may not be possible for, be possible for disadvantaged families. In such case, public policies need to be developed in order to address this situation and help improve those families' possibilities to digital learning in the 21st century. Public policies then could map the access and usage by poor children to e-learning and promote centers directed to that, in which courses are offered to both families and their children. Preferably, those centers could be organized in the schools where the kids already study or nearby, so that this public could come, learn, and have access to digital skills, content, and learning, and to the learning process itself. There it is. Okay, so we could address what the exercise required from us, a text in English talking about 2 of the 9 online reasons to continue offering online lessons, and the second part about the way and how public policies could do to address poor families' access in relation to it. And we even had the connection between part 1 and part 2, talking about the development of digital skills, digital literacy that not only goes to the kids themselves, but also to the families, okay? There it is. This was our part of the questions that you had to write texts for. you observed that we had 3 questions, 2 in Portuguese, talking about the first one talking about literature, the second one talking about language, and the third one talking about the 21st century. All the 3 of them talk about language learning and culture, language learning, literature, language, and culture, teaching. All of them deal with this relation of topics, okay? So we know that our thinking about teaching and learning needs to be very active, needs to be very attentive to the test, okay? Let's go back to the text itself, and now we go to our multiple choice questions with direct answers. The same procedure we are going to do. We have the questions which are in English, we talk in English. The questions which are in Portuguese, we talk in Portuguese. We read the questions first, then we go to the text because we go more focused to the answers, okay? Let me change our screen here. There you are. Here. There it is. The first multiple choice question. We go directly to the question before going to the text, okay? I'm sorry, just a second. Better. I'm sorry. Question. Com base nas informações apresentadas, o texto possui uma característica importante da literatura vitoriana. Okay, what we are looking for? One characteristic, one important characteristic from this period, okay? Okay. The text. Women writers and female characters had been part of novel writing since the time of Afro-Ben and Della Riviere Manley, and it is a commonplace that women were the main readers of the genre in the 18th century. After Sir Walter Scott made the novel popular worldwide, it was for 2 decades seen largely as a man's genre. Women writers were expected to write the kinds of novel which George Eliot was to condemn in an essay as silly novels by lady novelists, the subgenres of romance, fantasy, and sensation. But several of the major figures of the Victorian novel are women, and the heroines they created began to throw off the victim's role that male authors had created, from Mo Flanders, and Anne is missing, but it's not mine, it's the original text. Mo Flanders, Pamela, and Clarissa onwards. Jane Eyre's Reader, I Married Him. Close to the end of Charlotte Bronte's novel, 1847, that bears the character's name, shows the reversal of the roles and the decision-making capacities that the new generation of socially aware women could demonstrate. The Bronte sisters, Charlotte, Emily, and Anne Bronte, not only contributed much to the growth of the novel, but also to the position of women at this time. They did much to alter the way in which women are viewed, in which women were viewed, demonstrating new social, psychological, and emotional possibilities for men. Usually we have 3 minutes to answer one question, one multiple choice questions. This is one cognitive regular timing when we have one answer for multiple choice questions. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes. We usually have 3, but I'm going to give you 2 because I read the text along with you. Okay, so 2 minutes for you to reread the text and see the answers and select your option. I'll be back with the answer. 2 minutes were gone so that we can go back here and see the answer. So there we go. Com base nas informações apresentadas, o texto possui uma característica importante da literatura vitoriana, a literatura do século XVIII e XIX, que é marcada pela escrita de mulheres que confere às personagens femininas protagonismo social, emprego da fantasia nos textos escritos por mulheres para popularização do gênero, presença de personagens populares nos romances oitocentistas escritos por mulheres, vitimização das mulheres nos romances escritos por autores homens durante o século XIX, carga alta de emoção presente nos livros produzidos por escritoras daquele período literário. Quando a gente olha o texto, observem aqui. Então, o texto inicia falando sobre a presença de personagens femininos nos livros e nos romances, mas a participação da escrita feminina não era valorizada, tanto que a gente tem muitas escritas sendo realizadas por pseudônimo, até mesmo as irmãs Brontë, que estão aqui citadas, elas chegaram a usar também, cada uma um pseudônimo diferente para poder publicar, e no finzinho do texto fala assim, olha, as irmãs Brontë, então, primeiro Jane Eyre, né? Jane Eyre, leitora, eu casei com ele. Perto do final do romance da Charlotte Brontë, romance de 1847 com o mesmo nome, com esse título, Jane Eyre, né? Mostra uma mudança, uma troca nos papéis e a capacidade de... It's difficult to translate. E a capacidade de produzir decisões, a capacidade decisória das mulheres que a nova geração de mulheres socialmente conscientes poderia demonstrar. Então, nesta parte, a gente já está contando esse reverso. Historicamente, a literatura é marcada por homens, mas aqui a gente passa a ter um reverso da história, né? As mulheres socialmente conscientes, elas demonstravam uma participação literária consciente também. As irmãs Brontë, a Charlotte, a Emily e a Anne Brontë, que a gente lê durante a graduação e continua lendo durante a vida, né? Não somente contribuíram muito para o crescimento da novela, do romance, desculpem, mas também para a posição feminina na época. Elas fizeram muito para alterar a maneira pela qual as mulheres eram visualizadas, eram vistas, demonstrando novas possibilidades sociais, psicológicas e emocionais para as mulheres, ou seja, ao mesmo tempo, essa escrita nova das mulheres propagou uma possibilidade nova de protagonismo social para elas. A alternativa A, escrita de mulheres que confere às personagens femininas protagonismo social e para elas também, demonstrando esses novos papéis, né? Muito bem, vamos para a segunda questão. Texto em inglês, questão em português. A gente já começa a compreender uma formulação corrente da prova, não é isso? O texto, tem um texto aqui, o texto apresentado faz uma reflexão sobre o lugar da literatura nos dias atuais, apontando para algum fator aí. Necessidade de comparação, adaptação das narrativas literárias, emergência de novas formas de narrativa, complexidade da posição literária, mudança na produção de textos literários. E antes até da gente ir para o texto, e para a questão em si, é interessante a gente pensar esse caráter da prova. Normalmente é pensado nas letras, na atuação do professor, da professora de inglês, como professor de língua somente, mas a nossa formação é letras em inglês, não é isso? E letras em inglês nos cabe a parte de língua e a parte de literatura. Nas questões dissertativas, também tivemos a questão sobre ensino de literatura, e aqui já é a segunda questão de literatura de língua inglesa, tá bem? Agora eu vou dar, assim, 3 minutos para vocês, porque eu não li o texto. 3 minutos para que vocês leiam o texto, As alternativas assinalem a opção que lhes cabem e eu volto com a correção. Até já já! Three minutes, let's go then. So, o texto apresentado faz uma reflexão sobre o lugar da literatura nos dias atuais. Vamos lá. It is time now to return to the literature, in comparative literature, and to examine its position, which we believe vital in the new digital context, which has become the context of all cultural production today. The fact that any form of production whatsoever is now impacted and transformed by the digital turn in culture, however, does not imply that literature and the book have become residual domains of culture, whose dominant and emergent forms, to follow here the terminology coined by Raymond Williams in 1977, would then be digital and multimedia. One may have the impression that literature is now evolving towards new forms of transmedia storytelling. True, this is a decisive turn or shift in contemporary writing. However, it would be dangerous to conclude that this evolution is linear or teleological. In this case, there is no reason at all to think that the literature of tomorrow will become transmedia storytelling. with only a marginal place left for what used to be considered literature and its traditional mediations. Even Harry Jenkins made it clear from the beginning that not all stories will flow across media. Right after pointing to Hollywood speeches and the referential scenario against which transmedia storytelling's focus on characters and worlds must be understood. Então, quando a gente fala aqui de literatura, literatura comparativa e de Raymond Williams, a gente vê esses conteúdos lá quando a gente estuda a literatura comparada, literaturas em língua inglesa, literatura contemporânea, não é? Quando a gente estuda tecnologia na educação, nós estudamos Henry Jenkins com a ideia de transmedia stories. Então, este autor também faz parte do nosso conhecimento, não é? E o texto vai relacionar as duas partes, os dois conteúdos. O texto, meu Deus do céu, eu li todo o texto e estava muted. Que beleza! E, enfim, eu li o texto aqui e estava contando para vocês que o primeiro conteúdo nós temos nas disciplinas de literatura, Raymond Williams, literatura comparada, e o segundo, quando a gente fala do Jenkins, nós estudamos em tecnologia na educação, tá bom? Então, o texto foi isso que eu comentei. Eu li o texto e comentei, que acho que o som não foi. O texto apresentado faz uma reflexão sobre o lugar da literatura nos dias atuais, apontando para a necessidade de comparação entre repositórios literários diferentes? Não. Ele aponta que as duas possibilidades são pontos diferentes de uso da literatura. B. Adaptação das narrativas literárias para plataformas digitais e multimídias? Também não. O que ele coloca ali é que hoje a gente já tem a literatura, que é a literatura do seu meio tradicional, e também literatura de formato digital e multimídia. São formatos culturais, produtos culturais distintos. C. A emergência de novas formas de narrativas no novo contexto transmediático. A gente segura essa porque parece bastante aproximada com a resposta. A complexidade da posição da literatura na relação entre os meios tradicionais e digitais. A gente também segura essa, também está afinada, e vai para olhar a E. Mudança na produção de textos literários diante dos desafios contemporâneos. Mudança não é referida como um ponto aqui no texto, então a gente precisa observar no texto qual é o elemento, qual é a reflexão mais importante aqui. Se é a emergência das novas formas ou essa complexidade da posição da literatura na relação entre os meios tradicionais e digitais. E a gente observa que se trata da alternativa D. Observem onde está aqui. No primeiro parágrafo, está falando the fact that any form of production whatsoever is now impacted and transformed by the digital turning culture does not imply that literature and the book have become residual domains, ok? So, então não está comentando somente de novas formas. A gente está falando do movimento literário que está sendo acomodado. Ao mesmo tempo que a gente tem a literatura tradicional, a gente tem as novas formas de literatura digital e multimídia. E isso vai ser retomado lá no finalzinho do segundo parágrafo. Even Henry Jenkins made it clear from the beginning that not all stories will flow across media, right after pointing to Hollywood speeches as the referential scenario against which transmedia storytelling's focus on characters and worlds must be understood, ok? E um pouquinho antes tem What used to be considered literature and its traditional mediations. A gente continua com um ponto de vista do que é o storytelling digital, storytelling transmediático, mas também a importância dos meios tradicionais da literatura enquanto formação para as pessoas, formação cultural. Então, mantém-se uma posição muito complexa diante das novas formas literárias. Alternativa D. Complexidade da posição da literatura na relação entre os meios tradicionais e digitais. Vamos para mais uma? terceira. Então, aqui a gente já tem, sempre lemos primeiro a questão para depois ler as alternativas, né? E o texto, quando há, sempre há. A questão é, which of the materials below can he or she use to achieve the intended goals? A gente tem materiais culturais, reais, autênticos, em língua inglesa, e aí temos um desses materiais vai ser aquele que é mais apropriado para o ensino dessa competência aqui. Como é que eu sei que está falando de ensino? A high school teacher, só de ler o comecinho. Essa pergunta aqui, a gente lê o texto para ler as alternativas. Vamos lá? A high school teacher decided to search the internet for authentic materials, which could be taken into his or her classes and help develop his or her learners' pragmatic competence, as well as get them to discuss issues related to politics. So we are going to have, this question here is fully in English, so we talk fully in English. So we are going to have one objective to discuss language, pragmatic competence, the language being used every day in communicative situations, but also politics issues. Which of the materials below can he or she use to achieve the intended goal? The first one, come in and try the worst coffee one woman on TripAdvisor had in her life. D, it's in order ABC, but I just had a screenshot of the exercise of the question, so it's in a different order, okay? B and C are in the other page. I'm going to read with you. Hey, Europe, you look great. Oh, sorry. Hey, return. Hey, Europe, you look great. Have you lost a few pounds? The other. B, we have no Wi-Fi. Talk to each other. Pretend it's 1995. C, to all of those pool boys, milkmen, and TV repair guys. You may not know it, but happy Father's Day. E, what has 4 letters, sometimes 9 letters, but never has 5 letters? Okay, 3 minutes for you. Okay, 2.5 minutes. So we have a teacher who is thinking about developing pragmatic competence in the English language as well when politics mind towards the language. All right. 4 signs First one, come in and try the worst coffee one woman on TripAdvisor had in her life. We have a sign talking about some humor, tone talking about the idea that someone had commented about the quality of the coffee. Is this politics? Not really. B, we have no Wi-Fi, talk to each other, pretend it's 1995. Some humor as well, all of the signs, right? Some humor, but talking about historical fact that nowadays many people are sitting down at their desks to have some coffee and they use the phones. In 1995, we didn't have that, so it's a historical comment, not politics. C, to all those pool boys, milkmen, and TV repair guys, you may not know it, but happy Father's Day! So humor again, but this part is more sociological. It's talking about the fact that many fathers do not recognize their parents' situation and they're not part of it. Okay, much more social, much more psychological as well than political. D, hey Europe, you look great. Just having some fun with the name of Europe, as if Europe were a person. You look great, as if Europe were a person. In the appearance, things are fine, things are great. Have you lost a few pounds? Pound here is one ambiguous word. Pound can be the kilos, the way we measure kilos in Britain. Have you lost a few pounds? Have you lost a few kilos? Okay. Or have you lost a few pounds, the currency? So it's talking about the financial and political situation related to England in Europe. Yes. Then we have a political point of view. Alternative D, because of the ambiguity in the word pounds. Yeah. What has 4 letters? What? 4 letters. Sometimes 9, never 5 letters. It's just a linguistic part. Okay. Having some fun, but it's linguistic. So not letter E. Then we have another exercise, another question, and this one is totally in English, fully in English once again. Let's read the question, then I'll give you some time, our 3 minutes for you to answer it. Considering the cartoons, cartoon 1, our school computers are a year old. How can we be competitive in the job market if we are trained on obsolete equipment? Chalk is so retro. Why haven't you upgraded to an interactive electronic whiteboard? Considering the cartoons, choose the statement which depicts the common theme of both. 2 minutes for you because the cartoon is fast and I read along. There you are. Have you got the right answer? Now let's check that. So our school computers are a year old. Why? How can we be competitive in the job market if we are trained on obsolete equipment? obsolete of equipment. 1-year-old only do equipment. Chalk is so retro, chalk, retro, obsolete. Why haven't you upgraded to an interactive electronic whiteboard? So we are talking about the need for upgraded, faster, and the most recent technology equipment ever in school education. Considering the cartoon, both of them. Considering the cartoons, choose the statement which depicts their common theme. The widespread adoption of digital technology in schools has had a transformative effect on education. They haven't talked about transformation and their effects. None. The technology allows teachers to personalize lessons, democratize the classroom, and better engage students. This is true, but this is not referred in neither of the cartoons. The uses of technology in the classroom shift the experience of the sage-on-stage approach to a more collaborative learning environment. It's not talking about collaboration. We observe the kids in cartoon 1, they are talking. In cartoon 2, they are sitting down observing the teacher, not collaboration. The school systems are often willing to adopt and keep pace with the latest digital technologies and the new possibilities they present. They are often willing, but we are not normally having those. And this is what is referring here. We don't have that technology being updated frequently. We can't. Yeah? The 21st century learners are more tech savvy than ever before. The teens in cartoon 1 and the kids in cartoon 2, and perceive technology available to them at school as outdated, even if it is only 1-year-old. Yes, the technology being used. You can use a chalk, you can use one-year-old technology, and they're all going to be looking outdated. Alternative E. We have a big text, and we go to the question so that you have time to read the question. A metáfora da dor seguida na queda de carro em movimento, empregada pelo narrador do texto, é literatura de novo, ao rememorar incidente de sua infância, aponta para. Vou ler com vocês as alternativas, tá bem? Para o tratamento preconceituoso para com a mulher sul-africana, a adequação das pessoas vítimas de preconceitos ao sistema opressor, a violência de vários tipos vivida pelo negro sul-africano durante o apartheid, o comportamento religioso de alguns grupos sociais sul-africanos após a colonização e a escassez de transporte público para as pessoas carentes da sociedade sul-africana. Temos aqui uma questão de interpretação de um trecho literário. A metáfora da dor sentida na queda de carro em movimento. Essa metáfora aponta para quê? Encontrem. Então, quando a gente está fazendo uma questão, já sabemos o que é pedido de nós. Então, encontrem essa metáfora, observem a quais paralelos ela se refere para responder se vai ser tratamento preconceituoso, adequação das pessoas vítimas de preconceito, violência vivida durante o apartheid, comportamento religioso de grupos sociais sul-africanos ou a escassez de transporte público, tá bem? 3 minutos para vocês, o texto é a bit long. What a text, huh? Sometimes in big Hollywood movies, they will have these crazy chase scenes where somebody jumps or gets thrown from a moving car. Whenever I see that, I think that's rubbish. Getting thrown out a moving car hurts way worse than that. I was 9 years old when my mother threw me out of a moving car. It happened on a Sunday. I know it was on a Sunday because we were coming home from church. And every Sunday in my childhood meant church. We never missed church. My mother was and still is a deeply religious woman. Like indigenous people around the world, a Black South African adopted the religion of our colonizers. By adopt, I mean it was forced on us. This particular Sunday, the Sunday I was hurled from a moving car, started like any other Sunday. My mother woke me up, made me porridge for breakfast, but when we were finally all strapped in and ready to go, the car wouldn't start. My mom had this ancient, broken down, bright tangerine Volkswagen Beetle she picked up for next to nothing. That carless Sunday, we made our circuit of churches. When we walked out the Rosebank Union, it was dark and we were alone. In those days, with violence and riots going on, you did not want to be out that late at night. We waited and waited for a minibus to come by. Under apartheid, the government provided no public transportation for blacks. Necessity being the mother of invention, Black people created their own transit system, an informal network of bus routes. Being unregulated, minibuses were unreliable. When they came, they came. When they didn't, they didn't. Not a minibus at a sight. We walked, and after what felt like an eternity, a car drove up and stopped. We were the only passengers in the minibus. This driver was a particular angry one. As we rode along, he started lecturing my mother about being in a car with a man who was not her husband. He sped off. He was driving fast and he wasn't stopping. When we came to the next traffic light, my mother reached over, pulled the sliding door open, grabbed me and threw me out as far as she could. Back and forth we went. I was too confused and too angry about getting thrown out of the car to realize what had happened. My mother saved my life. We didn't know what could happen to a child at 9 years old, maybe a boy or a girl. Yeah, and the mother, you start with the violence of being thrown out of a car by your mother. But then you finish the paragraph, the next paragraph, knowing that this was the best that the mother could do in that violence situation. Yeah? Oh my. A metáfora da dor sentida na queda de um carro em movimento, empregada pelo narrador do texto ao rememorar um incidente de sua infância, aponta para o tratamento preconceituoso para a mulher sul-africana, a adequação das pessoas vítimas de preconceitos ao sistema opressor, a violência de vários tipos vivida pelo negro sul-africano durante o apartheid, comportamento religioso de alguns grupos sociais sul-africanos após a colonização, a escassez de transporte público para pessoas carentes. Bom, tem vários elementos que estão aqui presentes no trecho literário. Tratamento preconceituoso com as mulheres, adequação das pessoas vítimas, então não tinha transporte para os negros, eles criaram o próprio sistema deles, né? Comportamento religioso que foi forçado na nação, a escassez de transporte público não só para pessoas carentes, para pessoas negras, mas todos esses valores, todos esses fatores aparecem como fatores de violência contra a população negra. Não tinha transporte para o negro, a religião foi forçada neles, quando pegou esse transporte, era de noite, uma mulher sozinha, com o seu filho, com a sua filha, o perigo que isso era, esse perigo aparente, então estava andando, andando, andando. Quando apareceu o transporte possível, o próprio motorista já começou a dar indícios de que poderia fazer algo violento com a mãe e com a criança. Então são, diversos fatores de violência referidos naquela dor sentida no momento que foi jogado fora do carro. Então são vários tipos de violência. Alternativa C, a violência de vários tipos vivida pelo negro sul-africano, também pela negra sul-africana durante o apartheid. Que texto, meu Deus do céu. Mais um falando em texto, falando em literatura, Machado de Assis, minha gente. O texto apresenta um elemento inovador, fundamental da ficção de Machado de Assis, que se refere à passagem da obra, emprego de aspectos biográficos, transformação de temáticas provincianas, aprofundamento das características psicológicas ou mudança da focalização. A gente lê rapidamente para pegar a percepção que temos que ir para a leitura do texto. 3 minutinhos para vocês. Hey there, let's go then and see the answer to this question. At the age of 40, Joaquim Maria Machado de Assis invented a narrative device that transformed him from a provincial, rather conventional writer into a world-class novelist. This leap is usually explained biographically and psychologically. It's written correctly, I observed. Critics like to say that Machado, who nearly went blind, lost his illusions and passed from romanticism to realism and so on. Explanations of this sort, however, are beside the point, since anyone can contract an illness, shed illusions, or accept a new literary doctrine without becoming a great writer. But if we consider the change as one of literary form, the terms of the argument alter. Machado's innovation that then appears as an aesthetic solution to objective problems, lodged not simply within his own earlier fiction, but in the development of the Brazilian novel and indeed of Brazilian culture at large, perhaps even of ex-colonial societies in general. In 1880, Machado published the posthumous Memoirs of Brás Cubas, the first world-class Brazilian novel. What had changed with this novel? Its stroke of genius was to move the narrative point of view to the upper-class position. Que mudou do período anterior para primeiro romance mundial, de caráter mundial brasileiro, primeiro romance brasileiro com apelo mundial. Não foi um movimento psicológico, não foi um movimento autobiográfico. Se a gente olhar o formato literário, o stroke of genius, o traço de gênio aí, foi sair do movimento, o ponto de vista narrativo foi colocado para a posição da alta sociedade brasileira, the upper class position. Hitherto, the narrator in Machado's novels had always sympathized with those in a precarious, socially dependent situation, fretting over the arbitrary and unreliable behavior of those who called the shots, as if to ask how such dependents could persuade their overlords to behave in a civilized manner, to make society more just and livable for all. In other words, Machado's unreliable narrator has a distinctly 19th century class substance, and as a device, this is its secret. A partir disso, qual é o elemento inovador fundamental da ficção do Machado de Assis? Passagem de sua obra do movimento romântico para o realismo não é o traço fundamental. Emprego de aspectos biográficos na composição das personagens não é um traço fundamental, não é uma marca, né? Transformação de temática provinciana e mundial em seus romances, este elemento não é referido no texto. Aprofundamento das características psicológicas de suas personagens realistas também não é trazido aqui como caráter principal, aprofundamento psicológico. Fala sobre alguns personagens, alguns traços psicológicos que alguns críticos trazem como parte da ficção machadiana, mas não é o elemento aqui. O elemento é essa mudança da focalização para personagens representantes da alta classe, da classe alta brasileira, alternativa E, tá? Então, em linhas, só para a gente concluir aqui o nosso pensamento hoje, do que nós realizamos na aula da semana passada e na aula de hoje, em linhas gerais, quais são estratégias de leitura para a gente pensar da nossa prova aí? Sempre ler as questões primeiro, porque a gente já vai para a leitura do texto de uma maneira mais focada, sabendo aquilo que a gente tem que buscar, não é? Então, leiam as questões primeiramente. Na sequência, lê o texto, volta para as alternativas, elimina as alternativas que são mais óbvias, que não fazem referência ao texto base, que não procuram exatamente por aquilo que o enunciado está pedindo, né. Então, fazer uma leitura, ler as questões primeiro, fazer uma leitura muito atenta daquilo que a questão pede, porque às vezes se trata de até elementos que estão ali, como foi nessa questão da tecnologia. Deixa eu voltar aqui para vocês verem. É esta aqui, desculpa, espera aí. Essa aqui também, né, que tem a parte pragmática, pragmática e política, precisava achar o político. Essa aqui da tecnologia, a gente até tinha elementos que são verdadeiros, mas não eram aquilo que estavam referidos, para a questão exatamente pedida, que era o tema comum aos 2. Ou esta aqui, a da interpretação do texto literário. Alguns elementos nas alternativas estavam presentes, mas não eram exatamente, o que que a metáfora está apontando para, quais são todos os elementos ali. Então, é observar uma leitura atenta da questão para os elementos que ela pede para realizar a resposta, tanto para a dissertativa quanto para as de múltipla escolha de resposta única, e na dissertativa elaborar um texto, que elaborar textos, se forem 2 alternativas lá, ou se fala write a text, né, elaborar um texto que traga os elementos da resposta e que seja feito de maneira coesa, coerente e coesa com a questão, trazendo, os seus conhecimentos de ensino de língua, ensino de literatura e estratégias para o processo de ensino e aprendizagem de língua estrangeira, tá bem? Além disso, observar lá nas questões dissertativas a conformidade com a questão. Se a questão está em português, a resposta em português. Se a questão ela está em inglês e pede write a text, é write a text in English, né? Então, ela vai mostrar para você no enunciado se a resposta deve ser feita em língua portuguesa ou se a resposta deve ser feita em língua inglesa, tá bem? Então, terminamos aqui a nossa oficina de construção de respostas, examinando provas anteriores que ocorreram para o nosso curso de Letras em Inglês. Espero que vocês tenham curtido, que tenham também revisado, aproveitado o momento para revisar conteúdos. Convido vocês a observarem provas anteriores e treinarem também. Fico à disposição para o que vocês precisarem. Se tiverem dúvidas, eu estou por aqui. Vocês conhecem já o meu e-mail, é ingrid.hermann, que é aqui, nome e sobrenome, @fmu.br. Não tem ponto .com, é fmu.br. Desejo sucesso para todo mundo. Fico disponível para vocês. Até uma próxima. Bye, bye!